She told me she stayed late at work because of inventory. I brought her coffee to surprise her. Her car was gone. The lights were off. But her lie was still fully on. It was a cold Thursday evening in early March. I was driving through downtown Chicago with a cup of her favorite caramel macchiato in the cup holder. My wife, Sarah, had mentioned she'd be working late due to inventory at the boutique she managed on Michigan Avenue. Wanting to surprise her, I decided to bring her some coffee. As I approached the store, I noticed something odd. The lights were off, and her car wasn't in the parking lot. Confused, I double-checked the time, 6:45 p.m. She should have been there. I called her. No answer. I texted, "Hey, I'm outside with coffee. Where are you?" No reply. I waited for about 15 minutes, growing increasingly uneasy. Finally, I decided to head home. Maybe she had stepped out briefly or was in the back room. But something didn't sit right. The next morning, over breakfast, I casually asked, "How was inventory last night?" She looked up from her cereal and replied, "Oh, exhausting. We didn't finish until almost 10 p.m. I felt a knot in my stomach. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I decided to dig a little deeper. I called her coworker, Lisa, pretending to ask about a gift for my sister. After some small talk, I casually mentioned, "Must have been a long night with inventory yesterday." Lisa paused. "Inventory? That was last week. We closed early yesterday because of the snowstorm." My heart sank. She had lied. Over the next few days, I started noticing other inconsistencies. Late-night texts she claimed were from work, unexplained charges on our credit card, and a sudden increase in her girls' nights out. I decided to follow her one evening. She said she was meeting friends at a downtown bar. I parked a few blocks away and waited. An hour passed, and she never showed up. I called the bar, asking for her. The bartender said no one by that name was there. I felt betrayed, angry, and hurt. But I needed more evidence. I hired a private investigator. Within a week, he provided photos of Sarah with another man, entering and leaving a hotel on multiple occasions. Armed with this evidence, I confronted her. She denied it at first, but eventually broke down, admitting to the affair. I was devastated. We had been married for 8 years. I thought we were happy. I decided to file for divorce. But I wasn't going to let her off easy. I gathered all the evidence, including the PI's report, and presented it to our lawyer. Given the circumstances, I was awarded the house, our joint savings, and full custody of our dog, Max. Sarah moved in with her new partner, but their relationship didn't last. She tried to reconcile, but I had moved on. It's been 2 years since the divorce. I'm now in a healthier, happier relationship. Trust is still a work in progress, but I'm healing. Sometimes, I think back to that evening with the coffee. It was the moment that changed everything. But in hindsight, it was the beginning of a new chapter, a better one. After the divorce papers were signed, things quieted down. At least, that's what I thought. For a while, I tried to focus on work and getting my life back in order. The house felt empty, but at least I had Max, my dog. He knew something had changed too. He didn't run to the door at 6 p.m. anymore. About 6 weeks after everything went down, I started getting weird phone calls. No one would speak. Just breathing. Once, I heard muffled voices in the background. I blocked the number, then another would call. Always around midnight. Always the same thing. Nothing but silence and breathing. I didn't tell anyone. Not at first. I thought maybe it was spam or a wrong number. But it kept happening. Then, one afternoon, I came home and the back door was unlocked. I knew I'd locked it. I always double-checked it now. I looked around. Nothing was missing. But the smell of her perfume lingered in the hallway faint. But it was there. It hit me like a punch. It was the same one Sarah wore for years. I checked the locks, the windows. Everything else was fine. But that smell, it didn't make sense. I changed the locks the next day. That weekend, I saw her. Not on purpose. I was grabbing groceries at the local Mariano's, and she was there, 2 aisles over, looking right at me. She wasn't alone. A guy was with her, not the same one from the hotel. This one looked older, taller, wore a pressed shirt and loafers. I looked away and turned down a different aisle. My phone buzzed. No message. Just a missed call. Private number. That same night, I heard someone knock on the door. Not a hard knock, slow and spaced out, like they wanted me to hear every single tap. Max growled. I opened the door and no one was there. Just a single rose laying on the mat. A red one. No note. No vase. Just the flower, placed carefully like someone didn't want to damage it. I called the police. They said it could be a prank. Kids. Or maybe an ex trying to mess with me. I showed them the call logs. They shrugged. Said unless someone broke in or made a direct threat, there wasn't much they could do. I was pissed off. I was tired. But I wasn't scared. Not yet. Then I started seeing the same gray car outside my house. Not every day. Not on a schedule. But enough that I noticed. It would be parked a few houses down. Windows tinted. Sometimes for 10 minutes. Sometimes for an hour. I walked toward it once. It drove off. I never saw the driver clearly. Just the shape of someone in the driver's seat. I didn't sleep much those nights. Max barked at shadows. I started leaving a light on in every room. I got cameras. One in front. One in back. One inside. I checked them all the time. I started watching people at work too. Wondering who knew what. Who might be feeding Sarah information. It started getting to me. I didn't want to become paranoid, but it was like my life wasn't fully mine anymore. Then came the letter. No return address. Just my name on the front. Inside was a photo. Me, taken from across the street. Walking Max timestamped. 2 days ago. On the back of the photo, in shaky handwriting, you don't know the whole story. I called Sarah. I hadn't spoken to her since the divorce. She didn't pick up. I texted, we need to talk. Now. She replied, this isn't me. I believed her. And that scared me more. If it wasn't her, then who the hell was it? The next few days, I barely left the house unless I had to. I kept checking the cameras, hoping the gray car would show up again so I could finally catch a plate number. Nothing. But the calls started again. This time, it wasn't just breathing. A voice whispered, you'll see. Then silence. I stood in my kitchen holding the phone like it was going to explode. I took a photo of the caller ID screen, even though it just said private number. I forwarded it to the detective assigned to my previous complaint. He said he'd keep it on file, which meant nothing was going to happen unless someone ended up hurt. Or dead. That night, I took Max for a walk, same route, trying to act normal, but I kept looking over my shoulder. Every sound felt louder. Every street lamp felt dimmer. We made it back home, and I went straight to check the mailbox. Another envelope. No stamp, no return address. Just my name again, in the same scratchy writing. I opened it right there on the porch. Inside were 2 things. A Polaroid of Sarah kissing a man in the back seat of what looked like a parked SUV. The second thing? A hospital bracelet. It had a date from a few months ago. Patient name. Sarah Reed. Hospital. Northwestern Memorial. No diagnosis. Just that eerie reminder she had been in the hospital recently, and I didn't know why. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. This wasn't just about an affair anymore. This was about something deeper. Something I missed completely. I texted Sarah again. What happened in December? Northwestern. Why didn't you tell me? She didn't answer until the next morning. The message was short. Please stop digging. It's dangerous. Dangerous. That word just stuck in my head. It played on repeat. All morning. All through work. I couldn't let it go. I called Northwestern pretending to be her brother. They said she was admitted for observation. Mental health observation. No other info, but enough to make me pause. Why was she hiding that? Later that week, the gray car was back. This time, I was ready. I ran out with my phone filming and got close enough to snap a photo of the plates. Illinois tags. I didn't recognize the numbers. I filed a report online and attached the video. The next day, I was leaving work when someone tapped my shoulder in the parking garage. I turned fast, almost dropped my keys. It was a man. Mid-40s, shaved head, big frame, dressed too clean for someone not trying to be seen. He held up his hands like he didn't want trouble. "I just want to talk," he said. "Don't call the cops. I'm not here to hurt you." I backed up a step. "Who the hell are you?" He glanced around. "My name's Chris. I used to date Sarah. Before you. We kept in touch." I didn't say anything. He sighed. "I know about the pictures, the letters. It's not Sarah. It's someone else. Someone she was trying to get away from." That hit like a hammer. "Who?" He hesitated, then said, "Her ex. Before both of us. Guy's name is Eli. She told me he messed her up. Bad. She moved cities to get away. But he found her again. That hospital visit? She thought he poisoned her. Nobody believed her. They thought she was having a breakdown. But she was right. I didn't know what to believe anymore." Chris handed me a flash drive. Everything I have. Emails, texts, a photo of him. I've been keeping tabs on him. He doesn't stop. I took it, still unsure if I was being played. "I'm not your enemy," he said. "But you need to stop pretending this is about cheating." "It's not. It never was." He walked off, just like that. Gone. I sat in my car and plugged the flash drive into my laptop. The folders were named by dates. Inside were screenshots of emails from Eli, angry, threatening, obsessive. One said, "If I can't have her, no one can." Another said, "You took her from me. Now I take everything." It wasn't just about Sarah. Now it was about me. The next few days moved like molasses. I watched every car that drove by. I flinched at every unknown number. I checked the cameras constantly. I didn't sleep much, and when I did, I'd wake up soaked in sweat, thinking I heard footsteps or someone whispering in the hallway. I didn't tell Sarah about Chris or the flash drive. I didn't know if I should trust her either. She'd lied to me before, and even if she was scared, she kept me in the dark. I was still angry, but fear? That was taking over. I finally worked up the nerve to visit her. She moved into a small apartment on the west side, above a corner store. The place was run down. She looked different when she opened the door. Smaller somehow, like life had crushed the energy out of her. She didn't say anything at first. Just looked me in the eye, then let me in. I showed her the flash drive. She turned pale. "He said he'd stop," she whispered. "You believed him?" I snapped. "No. But I wanted to." She sat down and stared at the floor. "He's been watching me for years. Following me. I changed my number 5 times. Got a restraining order in Indiana. Nothing worked. Every time I tried to move on, he'd show up. I thought I could hide it. I thought if I lied about the affair, it would push you away so he wouldn't come after you too." That hit me hard. My anger twisted. I felt shame crawl up my spine. All that time I'd spent hating her, assuming the worst. She made mistakes. But so did I. I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't push to understand. "Why didn't you tell me the truth?" I asked. She looked up, eyes red. "Because I didn't want you to become another name on his list." That night, my front window shattered. A brick landed in my living room. Taped to it was a note. "Told you not to dig." I called the police. They came, took photos, asked the same questions. No fingerprints. No cameras caught his face. Just a hooded figure walking away. Enough was enough. The next morning, I went to Chris. "You want him gone?" I asked. He raised an eyebrow. "Gone how?" I didn't answer. Just stared. We made a plan. Not legal. Not smart. but nothing else had worked. Chris knew where Eli hung out, some sleazy bar on the south side, next to a boarded-up laundromat. I didn't want to kill him. I just wanted him to know he wasn't the only one who could stalk, threaten, scare. That night, we followed him home. He lived in a rundown one-bedroom near the old train yard. No lights in the hallway. No security. Chris brought a metal bat. I brought a phone camera and gloves. We waited until he was in the shower. Chris kicked in the door. I recorded everything. Eli came out dripping, yelling. Chris didn't say a word. He hit the wall next to Eli's head. Then the counter. Smashed a lamp. Eli froze. I stepped forward and played the voicemail recordings. The letters. The emails. All of it. If you come near either of us again, I said, this goes public. Cops. Internet. Your boss. Your mother. Everyone. This ends now. He tried to play tough. Spit at my feet. Said, you're both garbage. You're already dead. So I stepped in closer, looked him in the eye. Maybe. But now you are too. I handed him a flash drive and walked out. He didn't follow. Didn't make a sound. Just stood there with his towel and his hate. Days passed. No more calls. No more car. No more letters. A week later, his apartment burned. Cops called it an accident. Electrical. But part of me wonders. Chris didn't answer when I asked. Just said, sometimes fire cleans up better than words. I kept the files, the photos, the recordings. I stored them in a safe. Sarah moved again, this time out of state. She didn't say where, and I didn't ask. We don't talk much. There's too much damage between us. But I don't hate her anymore. I understand now. I made mistakes too. I believed the worst without asking enough questions. I let pride speak louder than trust. I could have protected her sooner. I could have seen the signs. Now I just walk Max in silence. I still glance over my shoulder. I still check the locks twice. But at least the shadows don't whisper anymore. They just watch. And I watch back.